In this video, the 12 principles of animation will be quickly discussed and explained. Potentially the most important principle, squash and stretch, is used to give objects a sense of weight and flexibility. A prime example of how this principle is used is in bouncing balls. Squashing when the ball hits the ground and immediately stretching when bouncing back upward. It can also be used to apply a comical effect to figures. Anticipation is used to prepare the viewer for an action and to make the action appear more realistic. An example of this can be when a batter has to swing the bat or club backwards before hitting the ball. The purpose of staging is to direct the audience's attention using the placement of a character in the frame, the use of light and shadow, or the angle and position of the camera to make clear what is of greatest importance in a scene. It is used to avoid unnecessary detail and to keep an eye on what is relevant. The process of pose to pose involves drawing a few of the key poses or key frames that capture pivotal poses in the animation process. From here, the intervals are filled in to complete the animation. This process is essentially repeated until the desired animation is built. This method can be used in both drawn and digital animation. Pose to pose can be used in something as simple as a bouncing ball animation, capturing the points of when the ball is reaching the pinnacle of its bounce before descending, and then immediately the point after bouncing and stretching. Straight ahead is essentially this process but going frame by frame. Follow-through refers to a character's limbs or parts of their body that should continue moving after the character has stopped. These parts should keep moving beyond the point where the character stopped, only to be subsequently pulled back towards the center of mass for the character. The principle of slow in, slow out goes for characters and objects moving between two extreme poses. This is to show more realism as drawings/frames near the beginning and end of an action, emphasizing the extreme poses and fewer in the middle to show the character/object accelerating or slowing down. In animation, arcs are primarily used to add a greater sense of realism, as most actions follow a natural arc in their movement. These arcs could be the curve of an object following a trajectory after being thrown, or a limb by rotating a joint in the body, such as the shoulder or elbow. Arcs simply help an animation look more fluid, as an object not following its natural arc for no apparent reason will appear erratic. Secondary action is essentially the secondary animation that happens due to the primary action. This can give more life to the main action whilst also giving the scene more life as well. It's imperative that this animation only emphasize the primary action and not take attention away from it. Timing can help to apply a sense of realism or exaggeration to an animation by having characters or objects appear as if obeying the laws of physics. Timing may also be used to communicate a sense of personality for a character's mood, emotion, and reaction depending on the timing of their actions. Depending on whether a drawn or computer-animated composition, timing may refer to the number of drawings or frames for a determined action. The effect of exaggeration is useful for animation as it can be used to attain or imitate a specific visual style such as cartoons. This is due to realism's style, looking static and dull when trying to replicate and imitate life perfectly. When the style of reality is used, exaggeration is applied in a wilder, more extreme form. Another form of exaggeration is to apply alterations in the physical feature or actions of a character. This specifically can give the composition a style reminiscent to cartoons. Solid drawing means to take into consideration the forms in three-dimensional space and shapes, anatomy, weight, balance, light and shadow, whilst also giving them volume and weight. Appeal in character is meant to generate an interest toward the viewer. This is not to be confused with sympathy, as even villains can also be appealing. The viewer needs to feel that the character is real and interesting is what's important.